Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. According to logic, this place had already been deserted for countless years, and although there were many fragments of celestial realm, every time the celestial gate opened, people entered. Therefore, even if there were fragments that no one had stepped on before, they were very rare and hard to find. Basically, most of the celestial realm fragments had been visited by cultivators before. This stone tablet was a sign that was normally placed outside, yet it was here, near the center of the palace. Adding on the fact that there were marks indicating that it had been buried underground for a long time, Wang Lin finally began to understand what was going on. This stone tablet must have been moved by a cultivator during one of the earlier openings of the celestial realm to hide something. Otherwise, those marks at the bottom half of the stone tablet wouldn't have been there. If it was left unmoved, then the bottom half would have eventually dried and started to crack. After confirming this idea, his eyes lit up and he raised his arm. The last few feet of the stone tablet that were underground were pulled out by Wang Lin. The moment the stone tablet was pulled out, a sliver of celestial spiritual energy came out from underneath. There wasn't much. The moment it appeared, it was about to disappear. Wang Lin revealed a happy expression, as he quickly trapped this celestial spiritual energy and refined it. Just at this moment, a sonic boom was suddenly heard from a distance as something flew across the sky like lightning. This object was covered by an octagon-shaped formation. A green-robed cultivator, with a flying sword behind his back, walked out of the formation. The moment he appeared, he quickly flew toward the ruins as if he had a target. Wang Lin immediately noticed and frowned. However, he ignored that person's speed and focused on refining the celestial spiritual energy. That sliver of celestial spiritual energy became a drop of liquid after being refined by Wang Lin for a while. Wang Lin knew that celestial energy had to be refined by a cultivator into a spirit stone state so that it could be preserved. However, the time it took to refine them depended on one's cultivation level. That green-robed cultivator's speed was very fast. When he noticed that something was wrong, his face suddenly changed and he shouted, "Stop." He used some unknown technique, and his speed became even faster. Wang Lin ignored him, because that green-robed cultivator was the same cultivation level as him, early-stage soul formation. He didn't see the cultivator as a threat at all and only calculated the time of that person's arrival, as he focused on refining the celestial spiritual energy. When the green-robed cultivator saw that not only did Wang Lin not stop, but he sped up the refining process, he angrily shouted, "This area was found by my Da Lu sword sect 3,000 years ago. If you don't stop now, my Da Lu sword sect will come for you." That green-robed cultivator's face suddenly changed. He was very afraid of that ball of lightning. He slapped the sword behind his back, then the sword suddenly came out and shined like the sun while floating above his head. The green-robed cultivator formed seals and pointed at the ball of lightning. The sword slashed down and then a thick and powerful sword chi descended from the sky. The speed of it was very quick, as it landed on the ball of lightning. The ball of lightning was cut in half and fell to the sides, forming two craters with white smoke coming out of them. That green-robed cultivator's face turned red, as he forced down the blood that was coming up his throat. This sword was one of the 7 treasure swords of the Da Lu sword sect. If it was against someone weaker than him, he could easily control it. Even against someone with the same cultivation level, he could easily kill them with just the sword chi inside the sword. However, the Thunder Toad was like a mid-stage soul formation cultivator. While the ball of lightning had no domain, it was not something a normal cultivator could control. This was a unique attack skill given to the Thunder Toad by the weapon. Thus, he could only give it his all and win by harming himself. With the help of the Thunder Toad, Wang Lin finally finished refining the celestial spiritual energy. There was now a purple crystal the size of a grain of rice in his hand. This tiny crystal was equal to half of Zhao's spiritual energy condensed together. Feeling the spiritual energy inside, Wang Lin felt shocked. After he put the crystal into his bag of holding, he raised his head and coldly looked at the green-robed cultivator. Under this stone tablet hid one of the eyes of the formation. Although the formation had long been broken, it was still active. After a long time, it would still gather celestial spiritual energy, until it produced a sliver of pure celestial spiritual energy. That Da Lu sword sect must have placed the stone tablet here, because they were afraid of someone else finding it. Every time the celestial gate opened, they would send someone here to harvest celestial spiritual energy. The reason they didn't use any restrictions and used a stone tablet instead was because they were afraid of someone noticing. No matter how well the formation was made, there would still be traces of it, and there will always be people with heavenly cultivation who could easily see through it. In the end, they decided to place a stone tablet here and place no restrictions. This way, it will be harder to find. After sending out this sword chi, he coughed out blood and his body weakened greatly. He didn't even look at the result and immediately left. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Without a word, he pointed at his brow, causing black gas to come out. The gas turned into wandering souls. They charged forward and collided with the sword chi. At the same time, the thunder toad let out a roar. Its abdomen swelled up again, and it spat out another ball of lightning a bit larger than the last one. Want to run? Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and took out a small flag. This restriction flag, that had reached the first stage of completion, was very strong. It turned into black smoke, surrounded Wang Lin, and quickly carried him forward. That sword chi was first hit by over 100 wandering souls. Although the wandering souls were instantly destroyed when they touched the sword chi, the power of over 100 wandering souls couldn't be taken lightly. The wandering souls made the sword chi shrink by 1/5 of its original size and made it dim down. Afterward, the ball of lightning collided with the sword chi. The ball of lightning dissipated, but the sword chi shrank to a small fraction of its original size. There was no longer any light coming from it after it collided with the ball of lightning. Eventually, Wang Lin charged out. Because he was under the protection of the restriction flag, the sword chi no longer had any power to stop him and was destroyed by several restrictions. Wang Lin didn't slow down at all. With the protection of the restriction flag, he charged after the escaping green-robed cultivator. As the green-robed cultivator escaped, he spread out his divine sense and was shocked by what he saw. He would not have dared to believe even in his wildest dreams that this person would be able to destroy his sword chi so easily. How could he not be shocked? Wang Lin's expression remained the same. That sword was very weird, and it had very powerful sword chi within. If it wasn't for the fact that he came fully prepared, he would have been wounded by that sword chi today. Wang Lin once again realized that no soul formation cultivator that could enter the celestial realm should be underestimated. While surrounded by the restriction flag, Wang Lin's speed was very fast. The distance between him and the green-robed cultivator quickly shrank. He sneered. Just you wait. This time, my Da Lu sword sect has 4 people who entered the celestial realm. Once I find my senior brothers, we will come and kill you together. You won't be able to leave the celestial realm. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his body suddenly disappeared inside the restriction flag. However, it was very hard for the green-robed cultivator to notice. After all, the green-robed cultivator was only at the early stage of soul formation, while Wang Lin's divine sense was on the level of a late-stage soul formation cultivator's divine sense. Although the two had the same cultivation level, the difference between their divine senses was too large. This was why Wang Lin was able to detect the green-robed cultivator the moment he appeared, but the green-robed cultivator wasn't able to detect Wang Lin until he got closer. He took one step into the formation before turning around to look at the black fog that was coming at him. The cold look on his face became even colder. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's figure suddenly appeared above the formation, and just as he appeared, he threw out a bell. The green-robed cultivator's face suddenly became pale. He never would have thought that Wang Lin was this fast. This pause allowed the bell to cover the green-robed cultivator and trap him inside. After that, Wang Lin waved his hand. The restriction flag and the bell quickly returned to him. His body disappeared in the air, and when he reappeared, he was on the ground. You won't be able to run away. Wang Lin plainly said, as if he was talking to himself. He sat down on the ground and his hand formed various seals that landed on the bell. That bell suddenly started to shake, which caused it to ring. Most of the ringing sounds remained inside the bell. After a short while, miserable screams came from within it. After a short period of time, the noise from the bell became even louder. Aside from the ringing of the bell, there were sounds of collisions coming from inside it. The cultivator clearly wasn't willing to be refined. He was using his sword to attack the bell. Wang Lin knew that the sword was sharp, and it was unknown whether or not the bell could withstand it. He let out a cold snort and his hand moved even faster. As more and more seals landed on the bell, the ringing became louder and louder, but the sounds from inside the bell became lower and lower. This bell was a magic treasure from the ancient cultivation world. Its main ability was to trap people, and then use a series of seals to refine them. The bell could even refine origin souls, but the requirement was for the user to have a higher cultivation level than the person trapped inside, or else they would suffer from backlash. After a soul formation cultivator forms their origin soul, unless attacked by many people at once, it is hard for them to die in a one-on-one fight. However, if a late-stage soul formation cultivator acts, all of that changes. Of course, if they were already greatly weakened, it is a different story. Just like how back then, Hunchback Meng was greatly weakened and then tricked by Wang Lin. In the end, he died to Hurricane Devil Lord's golden arm. As Wang Lin's seals landed on the bell one by one, the miserable screams gradually weakened, before eventually disappearing. Wang Lin kept on creating seals for a while before finally stopping. The spiritual energy inside his body was rapidly being absorbed by the bronze bracelet. After a long time, it finally stopped and Wang Lin opened his eyes. He threw a few more pills into his mouth, and finally recovered all of his spiritual energy. Wang Lin muttered, at the start, it was once every 6 days, but now it's every 4 days. Although this thunder toad is useful, keeping it really costs too much spiritual energy. In the future, I will have to pour spiritual energy into the bracelet ahead of time, because if this happens in a fight, it will be dangerous. He stood up and flew toward the palace. After finding nothing in the palace, he broadened his search. The fragment he was on wasn't really big, but it wasn't really small either. It was about the size of Zhao. Although he could cover the whole fragment with his divine sense, celestial spiritual energy wasn't something his divine sense could detect unless he was close by. Wang Lin spent 1 month searching this fragment. He found that besides that palace, there was no other building around. There were many holes in the ground that clearly showed the struggle the Celestials went through when the celestial realm fell apart. One day, Wang Lin arrived at the only other mountain on the fragment. However, the shape of this mountain was very strange. It looked like a big lock. This mountain was in good shape, but all of the trees on it were long dead. When Wang Lin touched a branch on one of the trees, it immediately turned to dust. Looking at the many trees on the mountain, Wang Lin bitterly smiled. If only these trees were still alive. Each one of them was a 1,000-year-old tree. Some were even 10,000-year-old trees. If he were to use these trees to make wood carvings, Wang Lin believed that the power of the wood carving would increase several-fold. Unfortunately, Wang Lin was unwilling to give up as he searched around. After checking every tree on the mountain, he helplessly sighed. On the top of the mountain, Wang Lin found a cave. This cave's door had already been destroyed and was filled with dust. The place didn't look well hidden, and Wang Lin didn't expect to find a cave that no one had come to before. The cave wasn't very large, it only had 7 or 8 rooms. Wang Lin checked the cave but found nothing. Someone must have come and emptied it out years ago. Before entering the cave, Wang Lin was already prepared. Although he had found nothing, he wasn't disheartened. The reason he came inside the cave was to see if he could find any remains of restrictions. He wanted to see what the restrictions used by Celestials looked like. If he could study some, it would help a lot with reaching 9,999 restrictions on the restriction flag. But now, all of the dust was floating in the air and moved as if it were being controlled. Wang Lin's expression remained the same as he slowly flew into the sky. He looked down from above and his expression suddenly turned serious. Looking at the dust cloud from his position, it seemed to form 2 words. Save me. Wang Lin frowned. The dust slowly disappeared. From above, the mountain looked even more like a lock, and the cave looked like the keyhole. Wang Lin pondered for a bit, but he didn't go back to check. This place was very strange, so he wasn't willing to keep exploring. More importantly, he believed that he wasn't the first person to notice that something was off about this mountain. If so, why was this mountain still here? Thinking about this, Wang Lin became even more unwilling to check. He slowly backed up and left. Even if a celestial was locked here, Wang Lin still wasn't willing to try anything if it involved risking his life. Wang Lin had already thoroughly searched the fragment over these past few days, and didn't find any more celestial spiritual energy. Thus, he decided to go check out another fragment. Before he left, he poured spiritual energy into the bronze bracelet. After arriving at the transfer array the green-robed cultivator had used, he pondered a bit before taking out the bell. The method to leave the fragment according to Wang Lin's knowledge was to keep flying up until he passes the barrier in the sky. Then he would be returned to the starting point, where he could enter a swirl and be randomly placed on another fragment. But the method this green-robed cultivator had used to appear on this fragment was very strange. He arrived via a transfer array. This made Wang Lin make a bold guess. Some ancient sect was able to set up a few transfer arrays after entering the celestial realm so many times. These transfer arrays would allow the disciples of that sect to travel between the fragments the sect had been to before. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He threw the bell out before him and started to form more seals. After 2 more days, Wang Lin estimated that even if this soul formation cultivator had set some retaliation after death, it was just about gone by now. Thinking about this, he waved his right hand and the bell slowly enlarged. With a bang, rainbow-colored smoke came out from the bottom of the bell as it opened. Wang Lin saw that inside, there was only a bag of holding and a sword. But suddenly, the sword hummed and a ray of sword chi the size of an arm shot out. Wang Lin sneered. He pointed with his finger and the sword chi disappeared. Along with it was a scream as the last bit of origin soul disappeared. After picking up the ancient sword, he scanned it with his divine sense and immediately became excited. He took a deep breath before putting the sword into his bag of holding. This sword was very powerful, however, he never thought that the sword's structure would be similar to the restriction flags. There were numerous restrictions placed on the sword and they were all pure attack restrictions. As a result, this sword was very powerful and therefore useful to Wang Lin. Wang Lin skimmed through them and noticed that most of the restrictions were ones he had never seen before. These restrictions were in groups of 3 with a total of 300 groups. This large number of restrictions was not something Wang Lin could learn in a short period of time. He contained his urge to immediately study them and took out the green-robed cultivator's bag of holding. He scanned it with his divine sense and then his expression became strange again. After a long time, Wang Lin sighed. Killing people for treasures in the celestial realm is indeed tempting. There were only 3 items inside the bag of holding. The first item was a piece of jade, the second item was the return cauldron, and the last item was a bundle of top-quality spirit stones. There were hundreds of top-quality spirit stones. Even with Wang Lin's ability, he couldn't help but become excited at hundreds of top-quality spirit stones. He looked about and couldn't help but mock himself. It seems my ability is still not good enough. In truth, it was hard to blame Wang Lin, because top-quality spirit stones were so rare on Suzaku. There weren't a lot of top-quality spirit stones on the planet the Da Lu sect was from either, but the Da Lu sect was an old sect that was tens of thousands of years old, so they naturally had stocked up quite a bit. After reading the jade, he completely understood the situation. The Da Lu sect had found a total of 37 fragments in the celestial realm after entering it so many times. They then secretly placed transfer arrays on each one of them. However, the transfer arrays were built in the celestial realm, so they couldn't be activated by normal spirit stones. This was also why the green-robed cultivator had so many top-quality spirit stones on him. After this, Wang Lin understood that a lot of cultivators who entered the celestial realm belonged to big sects like the Da Lu sect and had their own transfer arrays set up all around. Only those that came here for the first time, or independent cultivators, would fly up and randomly land on a fragment. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he looked at the return cauldron. The function of this cauldron was to return to the planet they came from. So if Wang Lin were to use this, would he return to Suzaku, or to the Da Lu sect? Wang Lin pondered a little before putting it away, and making sure to keep it apart from his own return cauldron. If he were to accidentally use the wrong one and really got transported to the Da Lu sect, it would be very dangerous. On one of the fragments at the end of the celestial realm, the wind was very violent and there was a large rift in the sky. Chilly wind blew out from the rift and into that fragment. It was as if the entire fragment was shrouded in the rift's power. This place didn't have any mountains, it looked like a desert. This place originally had mountains and rivers, but during the collapse of the celestial realm, one of the celestial's treasures fell here and created that rift. As for the treasure, it shattered after creating the rift and turned into a violent wind that blew across the fragment. At this moment, in the middle of this violent wind, a formation appeared in the sky. The formation formed a pillar of light that blocked the wind, but the pillar was shaking violently. It was as if it could shatter at any moment. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the formation. He took a look around and frowned. This fragment was simply too different from the last one he was on. If that one was considered relatively intact, then this one was completely destroyed. According to logic, there should be no reason for the Da Lu sect to place a formation here. Wang Lin pondered a bit. He saw the pillar shaking violently, so he quickly charged out of the formation. The moment Wang Lin walked out of the pillar, he felt the blade-like wind hitting his body. After he left the formation, it quickly hid itself using a special method. There was only one sound that could be heard, the howling of the wind. It sounded as if there were countless people crying. As Wang Lin descended, the sound got even louder. The moment he landed on the sand, he suddenly became alert. He quickly turned around and saw that within the howling wind, black figures appeared one by one. Wang Lin's heart was shocked when he saw the black figures, but his divine sense felt nothing. Without a word, he slapped his bag of holding and took out the restriction flag. At this moment, the black figures became clear, causing Wang Lin to make a strange expression. These figures were all extremely beautiful women. The women wore beautiful, rainbow-colored dresses, and behind him was a group of boys holding trays with celestial fruits and delicious wine. There were people talking and laughing as they walked toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin frowned harder. He saw that these people were talking but heard no sound from them. The surroundings were still filled with the howling of the wind and nothing else. Gradually, these people got closer and closer, then Wang Lin noticed black figures that appeared above them. These figures were young men flying on clouds. They looked like they were guarding these women as they scanned their surroundings. Wang Lin took a deep breath and put away his restriction flag. Those people were now in front of him. He didn't dodge or avoid them, he simply let them walk right past him. One of the boys directly walked through Wang Lin's body. This question once again appeared in Wang Lin's mind. After pondering for a while, he followed the illusions. These people walked farther and farther, until they finally stopped at a location. Wang Lin looked from a distance and suddenly noticed the scene change. A building suddenly appeared. There were many tables inside with fruits and wines placed on them. There were a few people sitting around the tables talking to each other. Every now and then, they would wave their finger and techniques would appear as if they were debating about something. Wang Lin watched this scene and especially paid attention to all of the techniques shown. He took a deep breath. These people didn't use any chants or seals, they simply waved their hands to use techniques. It was as if the power of the heavens were in the palms of their hands and could be used as they wished. One of the people suddenly stood up and angrily yelled at someone. Then his hand reached out and created a giant ball of purple lighting. He pointed up and the ball of purple lightning slowly ascended into the sky. Wang Lin's followed the ball of lighting, but at the same time, the clear sky suddenly turned dark. Patches of black lighting gathered into a fist and slammed into the ball of purple lightning. The ball of lightning suddenly shattered and the fist of lightning descended without slowing down. The expression of the people inside suddenly changed. Two people responded quickly and went outside to check, but the fist made of lightning had already descended. The power of that one punch instantly obliterated the bodies of all the celestials inside, along with the building. Only the two people that flew out were able to protect themselves with a rainbow-colored light. The expression of the two changed greatly, and at this moment, a blue sword chi flew across the sky and created a giant rift. Waves of cold wind blew out of the rift. Shortly after, a giant hand appeared in the sky and gently pinched the sword inside the blue sword chi. The sword shattered and disappeared into the rift, but the sword's hilt wasn't destroyed. It kept flying across the sky. Then the illusion changed. This time, many celestials flew into the sky with faces filled with anger. But just at this moment, the hand that shattered the sword flipped around and plummeted to the ground. A ray of silver light suddenly flew out from the hand and went toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin was absorbed inside this scene and was suddenly shocked. The moment the silver light appeared, he became alert and threw out the beast trap. The thunder toad appeared, spat out a ball of lightning, and collided with the ray of silver light. After a series of rumbles, the Thunder Toad backed up 100 feet. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he jumped onto the Thunder Toad and went to the woman behind the silver light. Wang Lin slowly said, "Red butterfly." When he was immersed inside the illusion, this woman suddenly appeared and attacked him without a word. If Wang Lin's divine sense hadn't already reached late-stage soul formation level, then he would have thought that the silver light was part of the illusion and would have been killed on the spot. Red Butterfly's expression was cold as she stared at Wang Lin and said, "You indeed know me. Speak, who the hell are you?" Wang Lin's expression remained calm as he said, "Who doesn't know Shui Yu's genius?" Red Butterfly coldly said, "Not going to say. Then you might as well remain here forever." With that, she raised her right hand and a ray of silver light appeared in her palm. She coldly stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin laughed out loud. His eyes lit up and he said, "I heard that Red Butterfly managed to reach the late stage of soul formation in just 100 years. Although 100 years isn't long, it's a lifetime for mortals. I wonder, are your parents still alive?" Red Butterfly frowned. She waved the silver light in her hand and then the sky was suddenly covered with specks of silver light. The light started to rain down upon Wang Lin. Wang Lin slapped the Thunder Toad, then its abdomen swelled up and it spat out a ball of lightning. The ball of lightning floated into the air, then Wang Lin shouted, "Explode." Suddenly, the ball of lightning exploded and rays of lightning blocked the specks of silver light. This allowed Wang Lin time to quickly retreat. As for the Thunder Toad, after it spat out the ball of lightning, it quickly retreated with Wang Lin. While Wang Lin retreated, he shouted, "Red Butterfly, do your parents have any other children? If not, then doesn't that mean they have no one to send them off? That means you lack filial piety. Red Butterfly frowned again, as she coldly looked at Wang Lin and charged after him. She waved her right hand and a flying sword suddenly appeared above her head. The flying sword shot out, after Wang Lin at several times her flying speed. There was hint of a domain inside the flying sword. The flying sword contained such a powerful emotionless domain that snowflakes began to appear around the sword. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He slapped his bag of holding and the restriction flag appeared. Black fog suddenly surrounded the area. The fog formed the shape of dragons and charged at the flying sword. Subsequently, Wang Lin didn't retreat anymore, instead, he disappeared inside the black fog. When he reappeared, he was a dozen feet behind Red Butterfly. His hand formed a seal, and the spiritual energy in his body moved and a black and white swirl appeared. At this moment, the life and death domain expanded from this swirl. The life and death domain activated in his body. Scenes of when he turned into a mortal, Daenerys' parents' lives and deaths, and various experiences as a mortal solidified in his heart. Using this moment of clarity, Wang Lin shouted. 100 years, an entire lifetime, and the love of one's parents is not something the heavens can erase. Red Butterfly, even if your parents have entered the reincarnation cycle and are already watching you from behind, do you dare to turn around and look? Although Red Butterfly's expression remained the same, Wang Lin could feel that the emotionless domain in his body had weakened a bit. The life and death domain cycled through his body rapidly as his body disappeared. When he reappeared, he was on top of the Thunder Toad. He then quickly retreated. Wang Lin waved the restriction flag in his hand and 100 dragons, made of the restriction smoke charged toward Red Butterfly. Wang Lin used a few breaths of time to force the emotionless domain out of his body so it could no longer harm him. His expression was dark, as what had just happened was very dangerous. If anything had gone wrong, he would have become part of the cycle and no longer have the right to compete with the heavens. A late-stage soul formation cultivator's domain is really powerful. Wang Lin took a deep breath. In truth, the moment Red Butterfly sneak attacked him, their battle had already begun. Wang Lin had seen the ice heart tactic. The key was to expel all emotions and then to crush and refine them until one reaches a state of no emotion. This was Red Butterfly's Dao heart. From the day he had first seen the ice heat tactic, Wang Lin thought about how Red Butterfly had reached the late stage of soul formation in only 100 years. On one hand, it showed how powerful she was, but on the other hand, it was also one of her greatest weaknesses. Without time to practice one's Dao heart, they simply can't compare to the old monsters who had lived for much longer. Also, with only 100 years, there was no way to completely erase all of her emotions. This was why Wang Lin brought up her parents. Only by making her remember the past and feel a sliver of emotion for Wang Lin to use to break her Dao heart, could he have a chance of winning. But this woman's Dao heart was firm and wasn't affected by Wang Lin's words. Only when Wang Lin activated his life and death domain to resist her emotionless domain did he realize that his words were working. Although he didn't say much and the effect wasn't obvious, his words planted a seed in her heart. If she can't remove this seed, she will never reach the soul transformation stage. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He knew that with Red Butterfly's talent, this seed won't last long. However, if he repeatedly touches that weak spot and proves that his life and death domain is the real path while her emotionless domain has flaws, then this woman will no longer be scary. Red Butterfly didn't care about these dragons that were charging toward her. The moment the dragons got close, Red Butterfly's origin soul came out, and she waved her hand. A ring of blue light expanded and then all of the dragons turned to ice. She stared at the direction where Wang Lin had retreated to and her eyes became even colder. She understood what Wang Lin's intentions were. Originally, it wouldn't be an issue, but Wang Lin's domain was very strange. He had managed to obtain a sliver of life and death from the reincarnation cycle. The moment the snowy mountains landed on the swirl, she clearly felt the life and death domain enter her body, causing memories of the past to be brought back. Although she was able to quickly remove those images, Wang Lin's words entered her ears. Even if they have entered the reincarnation cycle, they are watching you from behind. The moment those words came out, Red Butterfly's memories became chaotic. Although it only took a moment for her to clear them up, she had also missed the chance to kill him. A mere early-stage soul formation cultivator, but he indeed is interesting to try to ruin my Dao heart. This person can't be allowed to live. Red Butterfly's eyes returned to normal and she chased after Wang Lin. While Wang Lin ran, he waved his hand and put away the Thunder Toad. However, a late-stage soul formation cultivator's speed was far above an early-stage soul formation cultivator's. Soon, he felt slivers of cold energy appear behind him. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Just as he was about to escape, his mind suddenly went blank and he remembered that giant handprint that he had seen in the palace. He tried to understand it but failed in the end. Red Butterfly sneered as she chased behind him and thought, "It doesn't matter if you run forward or up, you won't be getting away that easily." Wang Lin rose up into the sky and suddenly stopped. He looked at the ground as if he had realized something and gently pressed down with his hand. Suddenly, the sky darkened and various streams of energy gathered under him, forming a giant palm right below Wang Lin. The palm pressed down toward Wang Lin. For the first time, Red Butterfly's expression changed. She wanted to dodge, but the palm was very big and it arrived very quickly. It went through Red Butterfly's body and landed on the ground, creating waves of dust. She was shocked and quickly checked her body to find that nothing was wrong. She didn't know that this palm of Wang Lin's had no power, and was only him trying to understand the handprint. After throwing out the palm, all of the spiritual energy inside of Wang Lin's body disappeared. Due to the beast trap, he was pretty used to this situation, so he quickly chowed down some pills. Before the pills even fully dissolved, he took out the jade, opened the formation, and randomly picked a location. When Red Butterfly raised her head, Wang Lin had already disappeared. A flash of coldness appeared in her eyes. This person has access to a transfer array, so his identity must not be normal. Also, his Dao heart is strong, he's very cautious, has a strange domain, and endless an amount of magic treasures. He must be the most elite disciple of a rank 5 cultivation country. Red Butterfly's eyes lit up as she turned around and flew off into the distance, looking for celestial spiritual energy. Wang Lin didn't carefully check the fragment he went to this time, he randomly picked one. When he arrived, he couldn't help but be startled. This fragment was like a world of fire with lava covering the ground. From time to time, there would be hot bubbles that burst and spread out a pungent smell. The sky was dark, and every now and then, spatial rifts would appear. Wang Lin floated in the air as he looked around. This fragment was very different from the other two fragments he had been on. This fragment looked like it was ready to collapse at any moment, especially because of the spatial rifts in the sky that looked like the mouths of devils. Wang Lin frowned. He didn't know why the Da Lu sex transfer arrays were all set on these dangerous fragments. Did this mean that the more dangerous the fragment was, the more celestial spiritual energy there was? Wang Lin flew out of the transfer array with these questions in his mind. He had his divine sense spread out as he flew down to dodge the spatial rifts. Everything was fine until he was 100 feet from the ground and a spatial rift silently appeared beside him. Wang Lin was surprised because his divine sense didn't notice it at all. However, he wasn't new to the cultivation world, so he was able to quickly react. Just as the spatial rift appeared, he was able to force his body to move to the side. The rift appeared quickly, but disappeared just as quickly. Almost at the moment it appeared, it disappeared. Wang Lin's forehead was covered in cold sweat as he looked to his side. A huge section of his clothes had disappeared as if it were eaten. He carefully looked around. At this moment, the amount of danger in this fragment could match the land of the ancient god. The way that spatial rift had appeared was simply too eerie. Wang Lin wasn't even able to detect it in advance. Wang Lin pondered a bit before slowly descending. He spent an entire hour descending those 100 feet. At this moment, two figures appeared inside the transfer array, and each of them had a sword behind their back. After they walked out, one of them immediately said, "Sixth junior brother, this is your first time here, so you must pay attention to the spatial rifts. Remember to always have the full search tactic activated." The person beside him quickly nodded, then the two of them carefully flew toward the hole. On the way down, many spatial rifts appeared near them, but the two seemed to be able to detect them somehow and always moved out of the way ahead of time. The speed at which they descended was several times faster than Wang Lin's. The cultivation level of both of them was early stage soul formation, so they weren't able to detect Wang Lin, whose divine sense had already reached the late stage of soul formation. The sixth junior brother looked at the hole on the ground and asked, "Third senior brother, is this the Celestial Beast Temple?" "That is correct. This place is one of the 16 Celestial Beast Temples. Ancestor found this place by accident after coming to the Celestial Realm many times, but this place should be known by many people. The last time I came here, there were 3 groups of people here looking for Celestial Beast souls," the third senior brother answered. Then he suddenly seemed to remember something and said, "Remember that you can't use instant movement inside, so you must be careful." As the two talked, their bodies sunk and entered the hole. Wang Lin's shadow appeared outside. His body disappeared as he silently entered the hole. He spread out his divine sense to carefully check his surroundings, and also looked to keep track of the two before him. "Third senior brother, after so many years, will there even be any celestial beast souls remaining?" And even if there are any remaining, it would be hard to obtain them with just the two of us. Sixth junior brother, you don't understand. If there are any celestial beast souls remaining, they would be very weak due to the lack of celestial spiritual energy for them to feed on. Once we find one and bring it back to the sect, we will have done a great deed for the sect. Back then, Ancestor was able to find a celestial beast soul here, united the planet Da Lu, and made the Da Lu sect famous. After the sixth junior brother heard that, he quickly nodded, then a sword flew out from his back and floated above his head. He carefully observed his surroundings. If there was anything off, he would immediately notice. Third senior brother looked at sixth junior brother with a look of satisfaction, and took a deep breath. After using some unknown technique, the vein in his hand popped out as he pushed the stone statue. After a series of rumbling sounds, the stone statue was pushed to the side and his face became pale. He quickly moved back a few steps and moved his hand, then a gust of wind appeared and blew on the statue. The stone statue moved again, revealing a fist-sized hole on the ground. Slivers of celestial spiritual energy came out from the hole. This person quickly slapped his bag of holding and took out a small green gourd. The celestial spiritual energy was quickly absorbed by the gourd. Sixth junior brother, the harvest this time is pretty good. There is enough celestial spiritual energy to form 2 pieces of celestial jade, 1 for each of us, and enough to meet the minimum requirement set by the sect. The third senior brother let out a laugh, as he slowly pushed the stone statue back in place. The sixth junior brother nodded, looked at the gourd, and asked, "That must be the soul purification gourd." The third senior brother took out a pill and swallowed it. He waved the gourd in his hand and proudly said, "That is correct. This is one of the 3 soul purification gourds personally refined by the Ancestor. With this, one can quickly gather celestial spiritual energy, and doesn't need to waste time refining it." Also, the ball of light in the skeleton's hand contained a sliver of celestial energy, so it was definitely not a normal object. Wang Lin didn't know why, but he felt a sense of danger. He pondered for a bit before watching coldly from afar. Third senior brother's eyes lit up and he said, "Sixth junior brother, go up and see what that ball of light is." Sixth junior brother hesitated before nodding and walking forward. Just as he was getting a closer look, Wang Lin suddenly felt that sense of danger becoming even stronger. Just at this moment, the third senior brother suddenly shouted, "Back off." As he spoke, he waved his hand and the sword flew off his back and slashed at the space just in front of sixth junior brother. The skeleton turned to dust and the ball of light flew into the air. A sliver of energy shot out from the ball of light and charged toward the sixth junior brother's brow. At this moment, the sword energy arrived. The sliver of energy let out an unwilling roar as it drilled into the wall and disappeared. This scene happened in a blink of an eye. Sixth junior brother's forehead was covered in cold sweat as he silently stared at third senior brother. Sixth junior brother, chase. Third senior brother revealed a very excited expression as he said that sentence and quickly chased after it. Sixth junior brother hesitated for a bit before clenching his teeth and followed. Senior brother, what the hell was that? Our luck is pretty good. If my guess is not wrong, that is feed for the celestial beasts, something the celestial beasts love to eat. Normally speaking, there are chances of finding celestial beast souls where these feeds are found. That skeleton before must have been ambushed by it and had all of its flesh devoured by it. Junior brother, please don't blame me for this. I just realized what it was, otherwise, I wouldn't have asked you to check. The third senior brother explained as he continued to chase. Sixth junior brother lowered his head and slowly said, "Mere feed for celestial beasts, and it has that much power. If that thing had entered my brow, I would have turned into a skeleton." In the middle of the cave, there was a small piece of white jade emitting dense celestial spiritual energy. Besides the jade, there was a skeleton whose bones were black. There were bits of broken clothes on the skeleton, but in front of his chest was a piece of metal that was releasing a powerful pressure. In addition to all of this person was also holding a sword. This sword looked very similar to the celestial sword he had seen in the illusion. In addition to all of this, what shocked Wang Lin the most was a black line that was moving in and out of the skeleton. Every time it moved, the skeleton would tremble as if it were reviving. Wang Lin stopped moving and, without any hesitation, quickly backed up to a hole in the wall. He took out his restriction flag to wrap around his body and became exactly like the wall beside him. The third senior brother flying in the front also had his divine sense spread out and immediately noticed the cave and stopped. His face immediately became pale. Inside this small cave there were at least tens of thousands of celestial beast feeds. At this moment, the sixth junior brother also noticed this and his expression became ugly. The two looked at each other and slowly backed away. But it was too late. The celestial feeds charged out of the small hole and appeared before the two in the blink of an eye. Third senior brother's expression changed immediately. Without any hesitation, he shouted, "Two-sword spirit world. Let's go." Third senior brother immediately retreated, after saying one line, and sixth junior brother quickly followed with his scalp tingling. The speed at which the two were retreating couldn't match the slivers, so after only a few steps, the slivers had already caught up. A vicious look flashed across the third senior brother's eyes, as he raised his hand and landed a hit on the sixth junior brother's back. Sixth junior brother's head suddenly turned around with a mocking expression. His hand quickly caught third senior brother's hand and he said, "Third senior brother, what were you planning on doing?" With that, his aura suddenly changed. His cultivation level changed from someone who had just stepped into the early stage of soul formation into mid-stage soul formation. He quickly grabbed third senior brother's bag of holding and sword before throwing third senior brother toward the celestial beast feeds. Third senior brother's expression suddenly changed, but before he could finish speaking, the swarm of slivers drilled into his body. In an instant, the body of an early-stage soul formation cultivator turned into a skeleton. His origin soul suddenly flew out, but just at that moment, the sixth junior brother formed seals to block his path. This pause made the origin soul lose its chance to escape, but the black line suddenly shot out and dug into the origin soul. By the time the black line left, the origin soul had already been devoured by it. "Sorry, senior brother." Seeing what had happened, the sixth junior brother quickly escaped using the time third senior brother had bought with his life. At this moment, the swarm was heading back with the black line in front. When Wang Lin saw this with his divine sense, he immediately gave up on the sword and grabbed the jade. He decided to give up on taking the piece of metal and quickly charged out of the cave, moving along the wall. The swarm returned to the cave and then a terrifying roar came from inside. The black line quickly charged out of the cave and waved its body for a bit before chasing after where Wang Lin went. Wang Lin moved as fast as he could through the cave, and as he flew, he released wandering souls with a simple command to help him confuse the black line chasing him. As he escaped, he could feel the wandering souls being destroyed one by one. He could see through the wandering souls that the black line seemed to have gone mad, as it was charging through the walls of the caves and destroying all the wandering souls. There were many caves in the Celestial Beast Temple, but many were destroyed in the disaster a long time ago, and more were destroyed under the power of the two swords. Now, with the black line charging through the walls like crazy, many caves were able to withstand it and collapsed. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.